So, hi everyone.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, can't complain.
Robbie, I was noticing your bracelets earlier on.
They're increasing in numbers, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought I saw like one or two,
Hey, you
and
know
now
what?
there's a third one.
I like it.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
You know, it just makes me feel good and keeps my spirits high and my energy to the top. And you know what? Whatever they are, they're working.
That's good to know and good to hear.
Absolutely.
And they look great.
Thank you
way.
very much.
So, hi everyone. Welcome back. And before we start formally today's show, which is going to be a little serious, so bear with us. But you know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to ask Robbie something.
Oh,
a riddle,
Jesus Christ.
a riddle.
Okay,
and
sure.
let's see if you get this one.
Sure.
I'm going to say to you though, that if anybody asks me riddles, I barely get them. A woman shoots her husband.
Okay.
Right, for whatever reason. Then she holds him underwater for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Finally, she hangs him.
Okay.
But 5 minutes later, they both go out and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. How can this be?
So the woman shoots her husband. Then the woman drowns her husband. Yeah. Then the woman
hangs him. 5 minutes later, they're both going out for dinner.
Is it related to something laundry and then clothes and wash and dried?
No, but
okay. Clothes?
Kind of getting warm in your analogy there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think you might as well spill the beans.
You know, I'm always smiling because I know the answer, right?
Yeah, you do.
So, woman's a photographer.
Oh, woman's a photographer.
Is that what you were saying, Landon? He got it.
See, Landon knows these things,
man. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic.
So our brains are ticking now, our brains are clicking, so we're ready. So this show is going to be a little serious, so bear with us, as I said. And we will have a couple of guest speakers to follow because they will be much more versed in this topic.
Right.
So this is about dying.
Oh my God.
So the question that I have for you today, or for us today, is should we be allowed to make decisions about when we die? That's the question. And it's not a hypothetical question. Audience, would love to know what you think, by the way. It is something that is happening here in Canada, in other parts of the world. And in Canada, it's known as medical assistance in dying, commonly known as MAiD. That's the legal terminology. So, should we be allowed to make decisions about when we die is the main question. MAiD is what enables this to happen, legally speaking, right? So let me share a little bit about MAiD. So I know many would not know what MAiD is. So I'm just going to share a couple of facts around MAiD, around the process, and then we can have a discussion.
Right.
And I will ask our viewers what they think, what they know. And as I said earlier, we've got a couple of guest speakers who will follow, and they are very well versed in MAiD. So, definition first. What is MAiD? Medical assistance in dying. It's a process that allows someone who is found eligible to be able to receive assistance from a medical practitioner to end their life. So it's legal, right? And I don't know if you know, but since it was first introduced in 2016, close to 45,000 people have accessed MAiD in Canada.
Wow.
So since it was legalized. But we also know, and I don't know the figure to this, and maybe our speakers will be able to speak to that, is that there are many that were rejected because it's like an application process, right? And you can imagine how tricky this is, for want of a better word.
I believe you have to meet certain criteria, and then
And I'll touch on the criteria slightly, but we'll let our speakers speak to that. Guests speak to that. So, just in terms of the suffering that leads people to request MAiD. There are a few that have been listed by valid sources. Medical Assistance in Dying Canada report. Loss of ability to engage in meaningful life activities, loss of ability to perform activities of daily living, inadequate control of symptoms other than pain, loss of dignity, and inadequate control of pain itself. So those are kind of some of the main
Criteria?
right, the main reasons why people who have gone through MAiD have actually applied for this help, right? And as I said earlier on, there are many more that have been rejected.
Right.
And I don't know if you know, but it obviously makes sense. Only medical practitioners are permitted to conduct assessments. And we also know that there are many that do not, well, how can I put this, are not in favor of MAiD.
So they don't support the idea.
They don't support the idea, and they will not be part of that process, whether it's a physician or a nurse, and we can touch on that earlier on.
Choice-based approach.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So there is criteria, but perhaps, or eligibility, perhaps we'll let our speakers, guest speak to that. But going by, what we've kind of touched on today, for now, what are your thoughts in terms of anyone being able to request MAiD, that they want to die? That's it. I don't want to live anymore.
First of all, I'd like to start off by saying this is an incredibly loaded topic.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
It is.
We pray every single day. I tell my children and my friends, family, to pray for long life, healthy life.
Right.
And today we have, at a point in time you come at a junction where you are planning your death. Yeah. Right? You are giving consent
literally
for your death. Or someone else is advocating that process.
Right.
So who knows what's going to happen to us? Right? We can only hope for the best and we live with and through hope.
Yeah.
Right? So my perspective on it is very honestly, this is not a topic or a conversation that I've had with any of my friends or family, right? But it is certainly reality. Yeah. We have to face it. We have to understand that there is such a provision, legal provision out there that we can tap into if circumstances require it. Right?
So ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬੋਲਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਐਟਲੀਸਟ MAiD ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਅਸਿਸਟੈਂਸ ਇਨ ਡਾਈਂਗ। ਇਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਜੀਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇਗੇ ਉਹ MAiD ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ zindagi
basically they can
khatam ho jave,
put a painless end to their suffering.
Yes,
probably that would be the best way to say it.
I was I couldn't find the words in Punjabi.
Cautious about it because it's a very sensitive topic. We don't want to hurt anybody out there.
Right, but it is a fact, as Robbie said earlier on. It happens, it exists. And as I said, like thousands of people have already gone through this process and thousands more wanted to, but they couldn't. Right. So you can only imagine, I can't even imagine, but I mean, for want of a better word, how much pain and suffering those individuals were going through in order to say, that's it.
Enough is enough.
I can't take this anymore. Just give me something that will end my suffering.
And at times, these patients or these individuals who are in this state, they're probably unable to make decisions for themselves, right?
So this,
whatever the illness or the circumstances may be, and that's where the power of attorney is given to someone else, their children or family members.
That's a good question. It's a good point. I'm not sure. I think, and this is where our professionally trained speakers, guests will come in and hopefully clarify that, because as far as I know, I think you have to have capacity to be able to give consent. Right. And the only time when you no longer have capacity to give consent, and I think that is taken into account beforehand. So So I think we need clarification.
We
on
need
that.
clarification on it, but my only question is, you can have a certain patient at a certain period in time in their life where they're able and capable of giving consent. Right. But as life moves on, the process is going on. They have just given a consent. Their application is in process. It's not been approved and nothing has happened, but they have expressed interest. And let's say in the next couple of years, they get into a state where they're not themselves. They're unable to take care of themselves. Right? They have care 24/7. At that point in time, I think someone will be looking at, is there a POA, a power of attorney for this person? Is there a person who's another legally able to make decisions for this person? So do you think that person will fulfill this person's wishes? We don't know, but it's something to ponder.
Definitely something to think about, and our guests will be able to clarify that point as to under which circumstances, the one who's been given the POA, power of attorney, will be able to say yay or nay.
Correct.
Right? Correct. Because we know that many family members don't want to.
No.
But what are the patient's wishes is what we've got to take into account. After the break, I'll share a little bit of an experience or a personal story. But for now, I honestly just can't imagine how we as human beings are given life on this earth, right? It comes after, like in many religions, in Sikhism in particular, we say after, I don't know, what's the number? There's thousands and thousands of lives, right? That we get this opportunity to be
there's a
something like that, right?
Please correct us. Let us know in the comments what exactly it is, but
So, and from my basic understanding of that is that this is after all that time and after going through all those lives of being, I don't know, an animal or whatever, that we now get to be a human being.
Right.
Now, for somebody like myself, let's say Gurwinder, no longer can put up with the pain, suffering, I'm just making this up, that I'm going through. I have to be at such a state of pain and anguish and loss of dignity for me to say, Dr. So-and-so, I want to apply for MAiD. I want somebody in the health profession to end my life. Can you imagine what state that person would have to be in?
Totally.
I don't know if any of our viewers have actually experienced this firsthand with a family member or with a friend or a loved one. If you have, please let us know. Or if you haven't, what do you think about this topic? Because it is really deep and it is controversial. Like, which side are you on, right? Which side are you on? I don't know.
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੂਗਲ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, MAiD, Medical Assistance in Dying। ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਟੇਰੀਆ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਸਕੈਂਡੀਨੇਵੀਅਨ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼, ਯੂਰੋਪੀਅਨ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼, ਫॉर ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਸਵਿਟਜ਼ਰਲੈਂਡ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਟੂਰਿਜ਼ਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਲੋਕੀ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ they wish to end their lives, right? So what do you think? Is it an ethical thing from a social perspective? What do you think? Suffering end kar rahe hain. Please do this.
So we'll take a quick break right now.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be right back and we'll try and close the topic and then open it again for our guest speakers. Okay, see you soon. So welcome back. And as we mentioned earlier, it is a very, very deep topic. And what it is about, so should we be allowed to make decisions about when we die as individuals? And we know there are many people who are for this, support this, and there are many people against, from an ethical perspective as well as religious.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, I think a social perspective. From a religious perspective, people would say, well, who are you to make that decision? Right? It's God who decides. But then again, when you're suffering so much, God, where are you at that time, right? Is what some people might say. And so then they might want to take matters into their own hands. One of the things I was going to share, and I know you have some experiences and examples to share as well, is when my sister was dying.
Right.
And I had no knowledge about MAiD at that time. And it probably wasn't even around at that time. But we could have gone to another country where they had euthanasia.
Right.
I know she was suffering a fair bit, but as family members, we wanted her life to continue, right? That was, again, thinking selfishly. But she herself at one time said to me, isn't there an injection you can just give me?
Yeah.
I just looked at her and I didn't know what to say.
Right.
But that's how bad people get. And if she had had access and we knew about MAiD at that time, she would definitely have taken that up. Now, fortunately for her, I say fortunately, but what else can I say? The hospice at that time said, you know, you can make the decision not to have any more treatment, no more surgeries, and you go in peace.
Right.
And that's what she did in the end, regardless of what we were doing, fighting to save her life. But then the quality of her life was deteriorating quite a bit. So she made that decision in the end. So I think the other thing that has taught me, and working in the hospital with patients, and I'll just end my thoughts here, is that I know we don't do this because there's the power of the spoken word or the power of the written word. What I'm referring to is, say, when or if I am in this situation, do this.
Right.
Or don't do this.
Right.
If I am no longer able to think for myself, if I am no longer able to care for myself, I want you not to resuscitate me. I want you to pull the plug, basically. So I think these are kind of some of the things that we will be talking about in future shows, but that's what I would want.
Right.
So, but it's not something that we commonly talk about because that's cultural, more so. I don't know what you think about that.
Whether it's an individual decision or a collective decision, at the end of the day, it sort of boils down to your support network. Okay. I would like to bring in an example without any name or any references. I would just say this individual has been on the list for a very long time, right?
On the list for MAiD.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, she wants to end her suffering.
Okay.
And basically die peacefully, right? Under the care of a medical practitioner. So she had gone through this process. You know, it's a tedious process.
And it's quite long, I think, as well, right?
Long,
yeah.
It's very tedious and there's a lot that's involved. So anyhow, so went through the process and it appeared that everything is good to go. All the, I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Everything is good to go. And then there was a period of stalemate. Absolutely no progress, no information, no correspondence. And then she receives a letter that your request is denied.
Oh.
Right. And she was
wow.
totally out of it.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, so it can have an effect from that perspective.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Sometimes I put myself aside and think from a third person's perspective or probably a bird's eye view, try to see what made this person take that decision. Obviously, there are underlying illnesses, health issues, and all that.
Right.
But do you think she can still live with them? Again, this is my scenario, right? My assessment
I don't know.
of it. I thought, and I still till today, I think the person can live. But there's one reason and there's one element that is critically missing, and that is social support. Support of her children, support of her grandchildren.
Yeah.
Support of friends. When you're completely isolated from all these major societal elements, right? And on top of that, you have this illness that is sort of classified in MAiD. At that time, you feel lonely. Yeah. You have no route. Yeah. You have no escape. You just want to
end.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
and I can't even imagine how somebody like that, I mean, say somebody in that position, has geared themselves up firstly. It's not an easy decision.
And
it's not an easy decision.
Not an easy decision.
And then suddenly to be told, no, sorry, you're not eligible.
Sorry, I would like to add another component to this. The people who make these decisions, or even think about this, they're very strong people.
Yeah. Yep, they have to be, right?
You have to be very, very
They have
mentally
to
strong.
be. They have to be. And this is why I'm keen on getting our guests come in to speak about MAiD, these requests, what happens, what supports are there in place.
Correct.
So we can ask them more specific questions. Let us know what your questions might be, because we will have some very good guests coming in who are well trained, well versed in this topic. So I'm eager to hear from them, because we're speaking as Robbie and Gurwinder.
Yeah.
We're not medical experts.
Our conversation
We
is
are
scratching the
not
surface.
medical experts. We're just talking from a layperson's perspective.
Absolutely.
And experiences that we've heard of and had to some extent, but nothing that will really qualify us to talk about MAiD. We will have our guests speak about that. So, wow. This is quite a profound topic, right? So let's end the show on a bit of a moral dilemma. I think it'll be a quick one today.
Sure.
Let me see if I can even remember. It's a one-liner. I know.
Okay.
I pulled this up. So you're in a building.
Okay.
And you see one of those red buttons. A red button.
A red button.
A red button.
Okay.
And it clearly says. It doesn't say what it's for. It just says, please do not press.
Okay.
Now, are you the type that's going to go ahead and like say, okay, it says please do not press, and you walk away? Or are you going to be curious and press that red button? Because it doesn't tell you what it's for. It's not for a fire alarm, that's for sure, because there's a separate one.
Right.
But what is this for?
Right.
Do I just walk away? I don't know. I think I might be tempted to press it, because I'm like, well, it doesn't tell me what it's for. What is it for, right? I'd be curious.
Correct.
What would you do?
What would I do? Okay, interesting. I'll answer it in two ways. First one would be if it's the Robbie who was a youthful kid back then, you know.
You mean like
many
like
moons ago.
last year?
Many moons
Like
ago.
last year?
So I would definitely press it because there's thrill in it, there's fun in it, there's excitement you don't know, and then you're stupid. You're simply stupid.
Oh God! And I just said I'd press it.
And just press it and see what happens. You know, we'll leave you some. Anyways, so that's one thing.
Okay.
And the second one, obviously, in today's day and age, you see something, just don't do it. Why? What is it going to do to you? Well, I mean, yeah.
It's curiosity killed the cat, right? Curiosity killed the cat.
I think it takes experience, life experience, and mistakes and trials and tribulations to understand certain things should not be, ventured, or certain things, certain places. Just don't do it. And this clearly saying, do not touch.
But it doesn't tell you why.
It doesn't.
It doesn't tell you why.
You're right on that. But then again, you're in a building, and then start thinking. That's where you bring in your critical thinking. You can just stand over there and just gaze at that little red switch button, whatever it is, and just start thinking of things. Why does this say what it says? Right? Does it mean that a dog will come out attacking at you? Does it mean that a door will open and everyone and say, "Yay, welcome, happy to be here. Here's your whatever."
Robbie, have you heard of those social experiments that have been done? And it could be a social experiment, right?
It could be.
It could be like how many people walked past and didn't press it, and then you've got the one person who did, right?
Right.
But those social experiments that happen, I think you may have come across these over the years, where everybody's in a room, right? And there's an observer, and they're being told to do something.
I've been through that.
Right?
Yeah, I've been through
So they're being told to do something, but they don't know why. So Gurwinder's sitting there, Robbie and maybe 10 others are sitting there, and everybody's being told to, no, Robbie suddenly stands up.
Right.
All the other 9 others stand up. Gurwinder's like, why are they standing? Okay, I'll just stand. Robbie sits down. Everybody else sits down. Nobody knows why they're doing this.
Absolutely.
But then there's a social experiment going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of the dilemma today.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But what would you do?
Yeah.
And what do you think about these, I don't know, I'm just going to call them social experiments. Maybe it is a social experiment.
Some ਦੱਸਿਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ building ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਲ switch ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਬਟਨ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੈ do not touch, do not press. ਕਰੋਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਛੱਡ ਪਰੇ ਯਾਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਆਪਾਂ you don't care about it, right? ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਓ please, let us know.
So on that note, it's goodbye for today. And thank you for joining us. And we will continue this with our guest speakers, the topic that we were discussing today.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Ciao.